Program Coordinator at Cambridge South Dorchester High School, and this is College Tell with Mrs. Bell. I'm very fortunate today to be joined by Alisan Imhoff. She is from Hood College, and she's going to tell us a little bit about it today. So good morning, Alisan. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting.
It is exciting. Sorry about all the delays today. You know, we're in a world of technical difficulty sometimes.
It's all right. We have patience and we're all learning everything together. So I think it's okay.
Thank you so much for your patience today. Now, we're here to discuss Hood College. I have had two cousins graduate from Hood College many eons ago. They might not want me saying it was that long ago. So can you tell everybody a little bit about Hood College, where it is, what your student enrollment is? You know, just give us the basics to start, please.
Sure thing. So I do want to give a little bit of background about myself. I grew up in Frederick, born and raised. So Hood College is in the heart of downtown Frederick, Maryland. Born and raised about 1.5 miles away from the school. So I love the area that we're in. I grew up on campus, and knowing the ins and outs of how to get around, especially to the pool, is my favorite part. But Hood College, we're currently a little bit over 1,100 students on a 50-acre campus. You wouldn't know that it's in downtown Frederick. You know, they're surrounded by trees and wonderful houses, shopping center where you can get your Starbucks if you're a Starbucks person, but there's also a Dunkin' Donuts right next door. So don't worry, you got both areas of coffee there. So 1,100 students on a 50-acre campus. Average class size is around 15 students. So with a 13-to-1 student-faculty ratio, you really get to know your peers, you get to know staff, you get to know faculty. And I think I'll talk a little bit later about that family feel, but the smaller class setting is really good for getting the education that you want in order to, do whatever you want in life. On average, I think I mentioned the 15-to-1 student to faculty ratio, but we are a diverse campus. We have about 34% diversity rate on campus. We are the most diverse private college in the state of Maryland. So we do offer a lot of different races, ethnicities. We offer a lot of religion. So chances of finding something on campus are pretty high for everyone.
So you mentioned that you were a private college. And on the past College Tell with Mrs. Bell, we did a public school. Can you tell us a little bit about the difference between a private school and a public school?
So a large difference of private versus a public is the funding of where the money comes from. So our price tag might be a little bit higher and everything else. But, we have the liberty to do a little bit more of some more freedoms in our experiential education and things like that. So with the higher, price tag, that's great, but nobody ever pays that amount. And so, we also receive a lot of extra funding for that. A big thing is in a public university or college, you might have to pay in-state or out-of-state tuition. For us, it's the same tuition no matter what, if you're in-state or out-of-state. So all you friends coming from Maryland, you'll have the same price, but you'll also get additional funding from being from Maryland in our private college as well.
I like how you mentioned that while it has an expensive price tag, or it looks like a lot, that most students actually pay much. There are other funding sources, especially grant money.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I tell students a lot of the time, I can tell you the price tag of our college and it's going to turn you away. But nobody ever pays that amount. Nobody does that. I always encourage the students that I talk with, rather than ask me, how expensive is your college? I sit there and say, what can I do to afford your college? I think it's a much better question to ask because you're going to be getting a whole bunch of scholarships. You're going to be getting state funding. You're going to be getting grants and scholarships when you file for the FAFSA. And you never know, a private college is really actually very affordable compared to a state college at the bottom line.
Very nice. Now, you mentioned it being a smaller school. What are some of the most popular majors that you would have at your school?
So we are a liberal arts college, and for those of you who are not aware of what a liberal arts college is, I like to describe it as a tool belt education. You get a little bit of everything. You can come in undecided, you're accepted to the college first and foremost, and you can try a whole bunch of stuff. And when you graduate, you're going to walk out with not only your hammer, which might be the biggest thing because that's your degree, but you're also going to walk out with the screwdriver and the tape measure, everything else like that. So we offer a little bit about everything. Our most popular majors do include business is our most popular major, but also nursing, biology, and education and psychology are kind of our top majors. A lot of
Mhm.
students want to come into that. And I do want to say that we do actually have a new major, public health, in times like this right now.
Oh,
I know that's definitely growing for a lot of interest in students. So we are pleased that we are going to be starting that program this year.
very nice. And, I don't think this is going away anytime soon. So I'm sure maybe your graduates will be the ones that get us out of it. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, they're with also a smaller school. What kind of activities do you offer to the students?
Our campus has over 50 clubs and organizations for students to get involved in. We're Division III in athletics too. So for students who are maybe still wanting to play a sport in college, but really want to focus on their education, we have that. We have a little bit of everything. Students can create their own club if they really wanted to. Our big one being our campus activity board. Where they just put on a whole bunch of different events. They do on-campus events. They take students off campus. We're within an hour of DC and Baltimore to kind of give you a feel of where we are. So students go to those bigger cities. They go hiking. They go, on hay rides when the weather is appropriate. All that wonderful stuff. But on campus, they host movie nights pretty regularly in our auditorium. They do. I know our favorite is one of the favorites is Sip and Paint, where they do mocktails and they paint picture frames and different things like that. But they also have bingo, and you wouldn't think a college student wants to play bingo, but when prizes are flat screen TVs and gift cards to
Oh,
different restaurants,
mhm.
our bingo night is very popular. We do that about once a semester. So lots of different things to do on campus. I always like to highlight two events on campus. Being from Maryland, I know we can all agree, unless you have a shellfish allergy, blue crabs are definitely exciting, very Maryland. And so in April, they have Spring Fest, where it kicks off kind of getting close to finals and winding down the semester. But they start Spring Fest with a crab feast in the dining hall. So it's fun to share with your,
Oh, nice.
other students that. And the other one being the late night pancake breakfast from 10 to midnight, the Sunday before finals. The president of the college, as well as other senior staff and faculty, and other staff are serving students breakfast to get them fueled and ready to tackle on the week of finals.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I was on a college tour with some students recently, and they asked about activities on campus, and they were saying, "Well, what if there's not what we want?" And I was telling them at a lot of the colleges they can create their own clubs going through the activity board. So it's very nice that you mentioned that.
Absolutely. Your college experience is what you make it. So we want you to have a good college experience. So if you want to do something, speak up, but people will listen.
So I have to ask this one because it sounds like Hood College is a great place to go. How would somebody go about being accepted? Because we're planning for next year,
Mhm.
and a lot of the students weren't able to take SATs in March or April or May or June. So, what are we doing about the SAT scores, ACT scores? What are you looking for in an applicant?
That's a really great question. And I have a really great answer for everyone. We are test optional. So you do not have to send in any test scores in order to be considered. We would love to see them. We'll ask for them. You can send us an unofficial copy, if you really want us to see them, or if we ask for them, it doesn't have to be official, but we are test optional. We really want to focus on you, the student. And so for us, our application currently as it stands, all we need is your application, whether it's through the Common App or our Beyond Boundaries application, which is our own Hood application, and your transcript through the end of junior year. Now you're like, Allison, that's not a lot. I really encourage letters of recommendation. I really encourage a transcript, or a resume.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, the biggest thing is call us, text us. I know we're going to put up a link here to meet your counselor and everything else. Come in for an interview. Let us get to know who you are off of paper. We're going to look at grades in core classes. We're going to look at extracurricular activities. So do you have a job? Make sure to put that down. We want to see that. A lot of students don't think to put a job on their application. But it's time you're taking away from studying. So time management is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to see what you're doing outside of the classroom. We want to see how you're challenging yourself. You don't need to be a straight A student in order to, apply to us. We really want to see the students who maybe are taking an honors class here or there, or an AP class if they can, or a dual enrollment class if your school offers that. We want to see that your grades are improving. It's okay if you've had a bad semester. That's okay. We're human. What are you doing to fix that?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I really encourage, making sure you're keeping in touch with your counselor. And then finally, the essay. I know everyone wants to talk about the essay, and while we have some downtime, I think it's important. Maybe we start working on that essay, making sure that grammar, punctuation, sentence structure is all there. It's really important. If you have to type it on your phone or, a smaller place like that, give it a look over. Just check it over, make sure, things are capitalized and in the right place where you want them to be.
Right.
But another thing too is content. You're going to be given 8 prompts on the Common App that you can sit through. And one of them is always write about anything. And so what I really encourage is if I never get the chance or any of my coworkers never get the chance to meet you, that essay should tell us who you are. It should tell a story. It should tell us something really important about you. I always share my favorite essays. One was a student who wrote about his haircut and how his hair has changed over the years, and it's really defined who he was. And in high school, his hair was long and his parents hated his hair. And he was looking forward to how his hair was going to change in college and how it was going to define him in college. So I thought it was pretty neat. It was something different, it made him stand out to me. Another girl wrote about Crocs, actually the shoe Crocs. I don't own a pair. I never have. I probably never will, but I know they're pretty popular. And she owns so many different pairs of Crocs, and they were all different colors. And she felt like her identity was lost when she went to a school that had a uniform. And so she wrote about what that meant to her. And how at the end of the year there was an award ceremony, and actually the award was a pair of Crocs. And so it kind of came full circle for her. So tell us who you are in your essay, as well as make sure it's grammatically and everything else correct.
That was some great advice, and I like that you used those 2 examples, because I think a lot of times students are looking for that great big story, that big event that happened in their life, and they can take something very simple like that and make it very interesting. And that shows a lot of their creativity.
Definitely, absolutely.
So while the students are home, I heard you mention, maybe now's a good time to work on your essay. I liked that. Is there anything else you would tell them to work on now to be prepared for fall?
I would say, keep in contact with the people who mean the most to you. If you're interested in college, or if you don't think that you can, get into college or anything else, I encourage you to talk with your counselor if you have one. If you have somebody who you look up to, or and if not, we'll post my information on here. Get in contact with me. I would love to chat with you. I think that staying on top of things and just being yourself is huge. Communication, things like that. We're all adjusting to what the new normal is going to be, and I can't tell you where we're going to be at in the fall. We're going to take things one day at a time, but if you have those fears, let me know. I'm willing to work with you through them. I think it's important to talk about what you're feeling, and to get started. So yeah, definitely get started on those essays. Get started on maybe planning virtual visits with campuses that are doing those things. I know a lot of different colleges and universities have gone online to give the tours, to do virtual interviews, things like that. So they're going to be doing it throughout the summer. Start doing maybe one every couple weeks, and start to see the different colleges.
That's great advice. It really is. And none of us know what's going to happen in the fall with any colleges or universities anywhere right now.
Yep,
It's all up in the
absolutely.
air. But it's always good to be prepared.
hmm I agree. It's never too much. You can always I tell students too. Look at the big colleges, look at the small
Mhm.
colleges, and everything in between. You never know what you're going to find. Hood's a hidden gem, and we'd like for you to find it. And so look at them all.
Is there anything else you'd like us to know about Hood College before we wrap it up today?
No, I mentioned several times Hood's a family, and we're small and mighty and all that stuff. And I think that that's really important. You can get an education at a lot of different places, but the fact that I'm still in contact with students from my first year of accepting them, that are now juniors, rolling into their senior year, and that ability to know them by name, by face when they're finally on campus. I think that that's really unique about Hood, and something, at times like these where we're so used to being distant and we have to pull off by ourselves. I think it's important to know we're still checking in on students. Faculty, current students are checking in, staff are checking in, and even students who haven't gotten to us yet. We're still making sure that you're heard and you're aware, and I think that's pretty unique. And so we'd love for you to be a part of the Blazer family.
Thank you so much for all of the information today. Thank you for your patience earlier. Again, everyone, this is Alisan Imhoff. She's an admissions counselor at Hood College. I'd like to thank you all for joining Maryland Business Roundtable for Education's Way to Be at Home series. We also have an app called Way to Be that we'd love to have you download. It'll help guide you on your career choices and possible school choices. And I'm Mrs. Bell with College Tell with Mrs. Bell. And I hope you will tune in on Tuesday, where we will have our community chat with Carrie. And on that episode, she'll be talking about the future of the workforce and how local government agencies can partner with education to help with student career success. Thank you all for joining us today.